But what if they want to? What if they volunteered for it? What if this is their choice? And I think the evidence suggests it is their choice, and they
It is their choice.
That's not a valid expression of feminism?
What you're doing is you're trying to place blame on the individuals as opposed to looking at the $1 million company.
I'm not blaming. I'm not against strawberries and cream, honestly.
And that's exactly what you're doing, because you keep on asking about the women. It's not about the women, because I'm sure they were paid for it. I'm sure they didn't do this against their will.
It's not about the women. Okay, right. You just answered your own question, because it's not actually about the women, is it?
It's about the mission of the organization, Tucker.
It's never really about the women, is it? It's about the mission of the organization,
Tucker. It's if you use women to exploit them. That's what the issue is.
Maybe that's the problem with modern feminism. It's not really about the women. It's about
modern feminism is all about equality. And as a father of 3 girls, I'm surprised that you don't feel as though feminism matters. And that's really sad.
I live with 4 women in my house, and I treat them like adults because they are, and because I respect them.
And we will not sexualize anybody.
I'm not saying, and let's be clear about this.
Okay,
I'm not saying any of these guys are traitors.
What's the point?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm
you're not saying they're traitors.
Okay, traitors. Not at all. Far from it.
Right.
Unlike your camp that called President Obama not an American, they called him a Muslim from Kenya, and so on and so forth. None of these guys are traitors. Having said that, having said that, Tucker, having said that, these were grown adult men, most of whom are patriotic Americans, who thought it would be a good idea to get help from a foreign adversary to get their guy elected, because they thought Hillary Clinton was a nasty woman and she should have never gotten elected president. That's what they did, and they're going to get, and they're going to pay for it.
Oh yeah, they're going to pay for it. Their trials for treason are coming up soon. I guess this is almost rhetorical.
I didn't say treason. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say treason.
They're just colluding with a foreign government to subvert our democracy.
Absolutely.
Right, it's not treason.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any evidence at all, or is this just something that you heard on MSNBC and you're repeating for our benefit?
Well, if you actually happen to read newspapers, which is a good thing to do, New York Times, Washington Post, or if you read memos that come from the DIA, DNI, NSA, CIA, FBI, or, for instance, the National Reconnaissance Office, you will see that there are 17 or intelligence and law enforcement agencies that would say, you know what, Tucker, pick up a newspaper and check it out.
Yeah,
you should. You know what, you should. You're in the news business. You're in the news business. You're no longer in entertainment. You're in the news business, and you should.
This might be the dumbest interview I've ever done. But hold on just one sec.
They should testify. They should testify openly. They shouldn't invoke the Fifth Amendment. They shouldn't invoke executive privilege. They shouldn't. And he kept talking about how he didn't remember. Check this one out. Ask one of your frat buddies to send you this book. It's from Shakespeare. It says, "Methinks the lady doth protest too much." Look it up, see what it means. But when someone comes on TV...
What play is that from? Do you know?
You actually should look it up. I'll give you 2 points. It's either Macbeth or Hamlet, but you look it up because it's actually good.
All right. Here is your description of the Trump administration. You wrote this piece in Teen Vogue, which I guess you write for.
Oh, which you guess I write for? Yes. That's not fake news. That's real news. I write for... You guess? Oh, you guess, Tucker? You guess? That's really patronizing.
I haven't read Teen Vogue because I'm not a Teen Vogue
reader. Well, you have in front of... Your producers asked me if I wrote for Teen Vogue. You have my Teen Vogue article in front of you. My name is Lauren Duca, and I write for Teen Vogue.
Well, got it. What does it mean to threaten the sovereignty of religion? What does that even mean?
That means an entire agenda, a platform based on banning Muslims, which is still available on his website.
How does that threaten the sovereignty of religion? That's moronic, Lauren. You're a writer. How does that threaten the sovereignty of it? Pardon me for taking your words literally.
Sorry, how does what threaten the sovereignty of it? Threatening to ban Muslims?
That threatens the sovereignty of it?
Yes, that completely, that profiles based on the basis of religion and reduces people to their beliefs and dictates what they can and cannot publicly believe.
That doesn't threaten the sovereignty of it.
Now that you bring up Teen Vogue, we treat young women like they don't have a right to a political conversation.
Dumb
and like you can't be, enjoy Kylie Jenner's Instagram and worry about the future of this country. And those things are not mutually exclusive. So you know what? I did write about Ariana Grande, and I did write about the abusive, bigoted,
those pieces were a little smarter than your piece about threatening the sovereignty of a whole religion. All right, I got to go. You should stick to the thigh-high boots. You're better at that. Lauren.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight, the show that is the sworn enemy of lying, pomposity, smugness, and groupthink. Time magazine just reminded us it exists by naming President-elect Donald Trump as the Person of the Year. Fair enough. Hard to think of anyone more newsworthy this year than Donald Trump.
And we, as the American people, have to hold our president-elect accountable.
Okay. So you've made a lot of pretty general statements. And by the way, I don't think there's any danger of Trump going uncriticized during his term as president.
Well, I think that something like hearing the way that the media...
You just compared him to Hitler now. So, I mean, clearly there's, a vigorous conversation about Trump underway, and you're part of it.
Someone who sues to remove protections that protect families, American families, from mercury, from arsenic, that protect our wetlands, that reduce the air pollution so that we can have a right to breathable air is not name-calling.
Nobody is contesting a right to breathable air. I guess my point, just to say it again, is you don't actually know anything about what you're talking about, and you're throwing out a lot of allegations as if someone were against clean air or for mercury. Is there another side to the case? Do you understand their position, or does that not even interest you, learning what they think?
It's not about learning what they think. It's about the fact that this man, who is to lessen the regulations from an environmental and public health standpoint, that is fact. That's non-negotiable. Around air pollution?
No, it's not. You can't name a single one.
That name-calling and hate speech and toxic rhetoric is how we've derived at this point. We have a president-elect who has built a whole campaign cycle around it.
You just compared this guy to Hitler, and then with a straight face, you're going to accuse him of engaging in hate speech. I mean, I'm sorry, I can barely hear the irony alarm is so loud in the background. I don't want to be cruel to you.
This man, Donald Trump, has appointed as his chief strategist and top advisor, Steve Bannon. Are you going to tell me that Steve Bannon is not a white supremacist, is not an anti-Semite, that he is putting that very ideology in the Oval Office?
Yeah. All right. Well, you got the hand gestures down, but the argument leaves something to be desired. Aaron, thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it.
A few days later. So, I mean, it's not like there aren't checks and balances. It's not like there's not a process.
It's just, people, I guess, in college believe anything.
Well, according to statistics, we do have something to worry about. The Cato Institute records that the vast majority of violent extremism comes from right-wing white nationalists. We also know that according to statistics, 80% of deadly terrorist incidents that happen within the United States are perpetuated by people who feel that other bodies, different people, races, and religions don't belong. So when I think about the threats that I'm facing,
those are made up. So for whatever it's worth, I mean, I don't want to interrupt you, but those are totally made up statistics, and you should spend some time looking at them. But let me shrink or anything. But I'm just worried that your fears may be a little bit overblown. Like, you've got a terrible gang problem in Chicago, but that isn't. Does that scare you at all? Like, if you were to go to the south side of Chicago, would you be worried about Trump supporters down there?
Tucker, I already live on the south side, number one. Number two, I'm
How many Trump supporters in your neighborhood?
Quite a few. I'm sure you can look it up. But on the question of gun ownership, we can look that even owning a gun doesn't protect one. She was killed by a man who decided to go after her with a bat.
Yeah, that was not a Trump supporter, actually. That was an illegal alien. Bad example. I'm sure there are others. Now, we're out of time. Unfortunately, it was great to talk to you.
I don't know why.
Sorry.